The Obsidian-class warship Eternal Vigil hung in the void like a monument to humanity's hubris, its hull scarred by plasma burns and kinetic impacts. Inside the Tactical Operations Center, William Chen gripped the edge of his console, knuckles white beneath his flight suit gloves. The holographic display painted the situation in unforgiving detail. 47 Krell battlecruisers converging on their position, each one a technological marvel from a species that had mastered faster-than-light travel when humans were still painting on cave walls. "They're hailing again," Lieutenant Morrison announced, his voice tight with barely controlled fear. "Ignore it," Commander Reeves snapped. "All power to forward shields, prepare to." "Sir?" The voice was so quiet that several officers didn't hear it at first. William turned toward the auxiliary station in the corner, where Maya Patel sat hunched over her terminal, her dark hair falling like a curtain across her face. "What is it, Specialist Patel?" Reeves asked, his tone suggesting he had little patience for interruptions from junior personnel. Maya didn't look up. Her fingers moved across the haptic interface with the nervous energy that had earned her a reputation as the fleet's most brilliant and most socially awkward quantum physicist. "I can stop them. One move, but you have to trust me." The tactical center fell silent. William had known Maya for 3 years, ever since she'd been assigned to the Eternal Vigil fresh from the Institute. She rarely spoke during briefings, preferred equations to people, and had once spent an entire shore leave in her quarters solving theoretical problems in n-dimensional mathematics. The other crew members called her the Ghost, not maliciously, but because she seemed to exist in a different layer of reality than everyone else. "Specialist, we don't have time for theoretical," Reeves began. 30 seconds until weapons range," Morrison interrupted. William made a decision that would either save them or end his career. "Sir, I recommend we listen to her." Reeves glared at him. William was the senior tactical officer, and his word carried weight, but this was insanity. Still, the commander was a pragmatist. They were outgunned, outmaneuvered, and out of options. "You have 20 seconds, Specialist. Make them count." Maya's fingers stopped moving. For the first time since the battle began, she looked up, her dark eyes meeting Reeves's gaze with unexpected intensity. "The Krell navigate using quantum-entangled buoys. They're what allows them to coordinate fleet movements across vast distances instantaneously. I've been analyzing their communication protocols for 2 years. She paused, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous gesture William had seen 1,000 times. "I can corrupt the entanglement." "That's impossible," Morrison said. "Quantum states can't be." "They can if you introduce a carefully calibrated interference pattern into the local quantum field," Maya interrupted, her voice gaining confidence as she spoke the language of physics. "I've been running simulations. The Krell system is elegant, but it has a critical vulnerability. They prioritize speed over security. If I inject a cascading decoherence wave into their network, their navigation systems will receive contradictory position data." William understood first. They won't know where anyone is, including themselves. "Correct. For approximately 93 seconds, their fleet will be operating on false information. Ships will think they're in positions they're not. The collision avoidance protocols will activate, forcing emergency maneuvers. In their current formation at these speeds." She didn't need to finish. Reeves studied her for 3 heartbeats. "You're talking about turning their fleet against itself." "I'm talking about introducing chaos into a system that depends on perfect information," Maya corrected quietly. "What they do with that chaos is their choice." "Can you do it from here?" "I already wrote the code. I just need authorization to transmit." Her fingers hovered over her console. "And sir, it's technically a war crime. We're weaponizing civilian navigation infrastructure." The main display showed the Krell formation tightening, weapons charging. William saw the faint tremor in Maya's hands. She understood the weight of what she was proposing. Reeves's jaw tightened. "Do it." Maya's fingers flew across the interface. William watched lines of code scroll past faster than he could read, watched her eyes track calculations that existed in dimensions he couldn't visualize. She wasn't just a shy girl hiding behind equations anymore. She was a weapon herself, one the Krell had never anticipated. "Transmitting," she whispered. Nothing happened for 5 seconds, then 10. William began to wonder if the tactical display erupted into chaos. The Krell formation, so perfect moments before, began to fragment. Ships veered wildly, their computers screaming warnings about collisions that hadn't happened yet, about positions that defied physics. 2 battlecruisers fired their emergency thrusters simultaneously, driving them into each other with the combined force of small nuclear detonations. Another ship, attempting to avoid a phantom obstacle, fired its main engines at full burn and plowed through its own screening force. "My God," Morrison breathed. Maya watched the destruction with an expression William couldn't read. Her creation, her one move, was tearing apart a fleet that had terrorized 3 star systems. 90 seconds, she said quietly, her eyes on her chronometer. Then they'll realize what happened and shut down the buoy network manually. But 90 seconds was enough. The Krell fleet, so terrifying in its coordination, became a collection of isolated, confused vessels. Some fired at perceived threats, which meant firing at their own ships. Others simply fled, their captains deciding survival trumped whatever tactical doctrine they'd been following. When the 93 seconds elapsed, 17 Krell battlecruisers were destroyed or crippled. The rest were scattered across 1,000,000 cubic kilometers of space, their formation shattered, their will to fight broken. The tactical center erupted in cheers. Officers who'd been preparing to die 60 seconds ago were embracing, laughing with the manic relief of the reprieved. Reeves was already on comms, coordinating pursuit vectors with the rest of the human fleet. William turned to Maya. She'd minimized her interface and was sitting very still, her hands folded in her lap. Everyone else was celebrating, but she looked smaller somehow, diminished. He walked to her station and sat on the edge of her console. That was incredible. She didn't meet his eyes. "I killed a lot of people. You saved this ship, this entire fleet. Both things can be true." Her voice was barely audible over the celebration around them. "I spent 2 years studying their systems because I was curious, because I liked the elegance of their mathematics, and then I used that knowledge to—" She gestured at the tactical display, where debris clouds marked where ships used to be. William understood then. The shy girl everyone had underestimated, who preferred equations to people, had just weaponized her brilliance in a way that would haunt her. She'd won the battle with one move, exactly as she'd promised. But victory carried a weight that statistics and simulations never predicted. "Specialist Patel," Reeves approached, his expression grave. "That was exceptional work." Maya nodded but said nothing. "I'm recommending you for the Star of Valor," the commander continued. "What you did here today will be studied at the Academy for generations." After Reeves left, William stayed. The celebration was winding down, officers returning to their stations, the crisis averted. Soon, someone would ask Maya how she'd done it. They'd want her to explain, to teach, to turn her one brilliant move into doctrine. "You want to know something?" Maya said suddenly. "I almost didn't say anything. I watched the Krell approaching and I had the solution, but I kept thinking, what if I'm wrong? What if I've made a mistake in my calculations? Everyone would know. Everyone would see me fail." "But you weren't wrong." "No." She finally looked at him, and William saw something he'd never noticed before, not shyness, but a kind of quiet strength that didn't need validation. "I wasn't wrong, and now I have to live with being right." The eternal vigil began its burn toward the regrouping human fleet. Outside, the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, indifferent to the battles fought in their light. Inside, a young woman who'd spent her career hiding behind mathematics had stepped forward and changed the course of a war with nothing but her mind, and one perfectly executed move. She was still shy, still preferred equations to crowds, still uncomfortable with attention, but William understood now that those things had never been weaknesses. They'd been the camouflage that let her see patterns no one else could see, solve problems no one else could solve. The Krell would remember this day. They'd remember the battle they should have won, the fleet they shouldn't have lost. And they'd remember the name Maya Patel, the shy girl who'd beaten them with mathematics,